Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Dr. Joshua Kolawole from Valdymas Intelligence LLC in Grand Prairie, Texas. And today I'm talking about energy draining activities. I'm passionate about transformation, and today I'll be focusing on transformation at individual level and at an organizational level. So, my first point of discussion will be directed towards individual level. I will talk about the energy draining activity. Why is energy important? You see, in many years ago, the focus had always been on time management, but many a transformed mind unraveled the reality that time may really not be manageable, as it's not a quantity that you can reduce or adjust. It's actually a quantity that you just have to align with because it keeps increasing, it keeps going. Now, the part of it that you can manage is actually your energy, the energy you bring on board. So I say this commonly, that when you want to drive transformation, you need four critical things to bring on board. You need energy, you need intelligence, you need integrity, and you need some intentionality to drive that energy. Because you can show up with low energy, or you can choose to show up with high energy, then it makes energy something, a quantity that is worth studying. It makes energy a quantity that is worth evaluating, worth analyzing. So today, I want to talk about those things that actually drains our energy and prevent the heart of transformation. Because when we talk about driving consistency in as a key factor to transformation, then that means you have to show up with energy consistently. For you to show up with energy consistently, that means you must be internally motivated to deliver that amount of energy on a consistent basis. But there are factors that can actually drain that energy, even if you have made up your mind, like committed to bring in energy. There are factors that can drain those energy. So those are the activities I would like us to consider today. The first thing that I noticed that drains energy a lot is negative self talk, something that is similar to the concept of self doubt or negative thinking. This can drain your emotional energy, especially the energy of commitment that starts or births an idea. It prevents you from taking the necessary step forward. It leads to a concept procrastination, a concept called procrastination, where you delay pursuing important tasks, or even when you want to pursue them, you see them as stressful. And it's because your energy has been drained, and ultimately leads to decreased productivity, hindering personal growth and transformation. Another thing that I see that drains energy, especially with young minds, is lack of focus. We need to ensure that we are not easily distractible. When you set up your mind to achieve something, I will read 4 hours every day for the next 90 days to be able to take an exam. Then we need to ensure that everything that would impact on that 4 hours daily must be taken away. So consistently, you must prevent distraction. You must ensure that you're able to concentrate on priorities that can lead to scattering your effort or ensuring that you have unachieved goals. So the idea is that you're focused and you prevent distraction. I mentioned it many times. Easy distractibility is a crucial factor that a young mind needs to avoid. The more matured you become, the more stable and focused you will become. The other one is toxic relationships. I want you to know that nothing drains energy like if you're in a relationship where you love to gossip too much, you love to um shoot each other or one another down, where you're not filled with gratitude, you're not helping one another, you're not driving one another, you're not putting one another in an agile mode where you're pursuing greatness. So you need to avoid toxic relationships. When you find yourself in a relationship, maybe suddenly you just discover that relationship is becoming toxic, what do you do? The first thing you do is you try to redefine the boundaries of that relationship. So a scenario where you retrain the relationship in a way in which you want it. When you notice people using some condescending language or use words that are foul languages in your environment, you try to tell them to adjust such words. When you try to retrain them and they do not want to get retrained, then you start removing yourself from such gathering gradually. You reduce conversations in such gathering, and ultimately you may have to retire such relationship if it fails to be removed. So or if the conversation feels to be reduced. So what I'm saying is toxic relationship, it's a difficult thing to go through. Now the concern is, what if it's your wife or your kids and it's not a relationship where you can retire? What do you do? Then you have to learn or seek counseling on how you will retrain that relationship. It will take you a lot of time, but you will have to commit to that. The next thing that drains energy is overcommitment. Sometimes we think, because I have capacity, I have enough time, I have enough energy, I can take on more, I can take on more. Then you take on more responsibilities than your capacity and you get exhausted. And leaving you with little energy for even self-improvement. You can imagine when you keep breathing in, and you fail to breathe out. That is exactly what would happen. So in this scenario, or exhaustion sets in because you're overcommitting to things. So what I tell people is prioritize 2, 3 important things in your life, and those are the key things. Every other thing you can demonstrate low energy to them or even avoid them completely, as the case may be. The next thing is when you set out with an inconsistent routine. I mentioned it earlier, consistency is a crucial factor. But for you to be consistent, you need to build structure and routine. So let's say I want to read for an exam now, and I want to set out the time. I can make up my mind. I will wake up 4 a.m. every day and read till 6 a.m. 4 to 6 a.m., 3 hours every day for the next 90 days. That's building a structure. What are the things I will now need to adjust in my structure? I'll make sure I sleep early so that I can wake up 4 a.m. I'll make sure I adjust the lighting in my room. I set up an alarm. I set up the table for reading. Put in a lot of structural things. I can tell anyone around me to wake me up, to support me in the journey. I would owe myself. I will be accountable to them. I'll give them update on how I'm doing. All these things are factors that can put structures in our life to ensure consistency. So once there's lack of structural and social support and personal discipline, you will lead an inconsistent routine and you will never be able to transform. Then the next thing is perfectionism. When you're pursuing a perfect lifestyle, the strive for perfection can only be achieved in utopia. So this will lead to frustration and burnout. You don't want that. So energy is wasted when you're pursuing unrealistic expectation. So I would say manage your pursuit of perfection. Understand that you would always be in excellence, and excellence is that continuous state of improving, and that is what you should pursue. Unhealthy lifestyle, poor diet, lack of exercise, insufficient sleep will diminish your physical and mental energy. It will be hard for you to stay concentrated, motivated, and even focused on an ideal. So I would say this can also drain your energy. Another thing is, some people, like procrastination, have poor management of timing. You need to understand the capacity of what you can achieve within 1 hour, within 2 hours, and then plan your life appropriately when you have that maximum energy of the day, maybe in the morning, that you can deliver within those hours. And so less prioritized stuff can go into the evenings where you have little energy. And if not, please take the time out to rest so that you can get revitalized for the next morning. So I go over things I mentioned again: procrastination, negative self-talk, lack of focus, toxic relationships, overcommitment, inconsistent routine, unhealthy lifestyle, perfectionism, and I think poor time management. Let me add this one to it. It's also something that commonly occurs around us. A lot of time we demonstrate resistance to change. Change can be complex. Changing can actually even be complex because changing requires that you change. Changing does not only require that you change things in your environment, it may actually require you to change you and the way you respond to those things. So because of that, you may demonstrate a lot of resistance, and because of that, you demonstrate apathy and you don't want to bring in energy. These are crucial factors you need to work upon at individual level. Now, at organizational level, like I said, I'm going to deal with individual and organization. So I'll run through the organizational features that brings low energy or that brings energy draining activity in an organization. People in this generation don't like micromanagement. Or entrepreneurs love to inspect things a lot, which is great. But we also have to balance it to understand that sometimes excessive control over employees will stifle creativity. It will remove autonomy and innovative thinking, and it prevents transformational growth or progress. So micromanagement is something you need to really balance carefully. If it's new member of the team that is still trying to learn the ropes, you can help them, support them, But as they keep going, you need to open up more for them to become more creative, more autonomous, more innovative in their approach. Also understand the organization suffers the challenge of resistance to change. We call it organizational inertia, where processes and systems remains unchanged due to the fear, or maybe some people are too comfortable, or fear of, if we change to this, what's going to happen to my job? What's going to happen to my role? Some people don't want to lose that, because they say a system is created to defend the system. So in some systems, the reason why they are like that is because some people are okay, or they are fine with that flow, and they really don't want it to be adjusted. So there could be resistance to change. Then when you have processes that are inefficient, and you're actually not doing anything to bring it up to contemporary standard, let's say you have outdated or cumbersome workflows, they drain people's time, drain people's resources, and they even limit the organization's ability to travel fast, to be agile, to adapt, to innovate. So these are crucial things. Then sometimes, because of distraction from leadership, even the vision that were created may not really receive that amount of focus or energy. Lack of vision or lack of full attention to vision can also drain the energy from the team. So without a clear, compelling, well communicated, inspiring vision, employees may feel directionless many a times, leading to disengagement and stagnation. And then they will bring in low energy to work. They will just come and hold on till it's 4 p.m., it's 6 p.m., and they go home. So you really don't want that. In organization, poor communication leads to confusion, errors, and you have to understand that when people get frustrated, they show up with low energy. So these are things that leads to toxic workplace culture. And when there's this toxic workplace culture, you can expect that people would come in with reduced energy because there's no focus again. Now, when an organization is overemphasizing short-term goals as against long-term, you need to have an excellent blend of strategic thinking, long-term planning with your short-term agenda. So it helps people to know where they will be at 5-7 years and ensure some form of security for them. And because of that, you need to emphasize short and long-term goal. Have an excellent blend of the two goals, and then it helps people bring in more energy, more innovativeness. Ensure that decision-making bottlenecks are removed in organization, because when you're too focused on an hierarchical system as against the balanced work culture, then it leads to people just showing up with little energy. And then we have to also monitor how we engage our employee and how we allocate resources to drive things. Resource misallocation, poor employee engagement, performance appraisal, performance review, all these things can stifle innovativeness, allow people to bring in low energy. And some will just say, I will just hold on till my payment is made. Or some will just plan to leave at a certain time when they cannot find joy at work again. So what am I saying in essence? There are energy draining activities that can prevent transformation both at organizational level and at individual level. And don't forget, you can imagine an organization like an organism, an individual. So the principles are quite similar. But the most important thing as a leader for you, especially if you want to drive transformation, is to monitor the transformative energy in your system. Ensure that the minds in your system are living minds. They are willing to give their all, their energy sacrificially to go above and beyond to make things happen. Your goal is transformational outcomes. And because you want transformational outcomes, you must be passionate about giving the input that will lead to the output. And because you know that the input is within your control to a large extent, your role to motivate, to inspire, to intellectually stimulate, to ensure you set very high ethical standard, and then to ensure that there's individualized consideration in your system, and you bring that intentionality, that intelligence, that integrity into place, and that will drive the energy in your system. Please track the energy in your system. You don't want it to be low. At individual level, monitor it. When you see that you're losing energy, then find things that motivate, that inspires you, that brings you back. Something like studying, reading, meditation, exercising, things, talk to a mentor, to a coach, relate with people, get excited about life again, and then you bring on that energy. And at organizational level, it might be worthwhile to get in consultants, to come talk to the team, to evaluate the team, and then you strategically build a solution around whatever factors that are identified as energy draining. But most importantly, please do not let the energy in your team go down. If there's one thing I want to encourage you to do, let it keep going higher. Thank you so much for listening. I am Dr. Joshua Kolawole. I'm a global transformational leadership trainer from Valdymas Intelligence. Bye.